I've only had a quick look at a few of the teams before I've recorded this, and I can already tell that there's a lot to go over this week. So let's get into it. Starting with the Panthers and Bulldogs, obviously all the Origin guns returning sees a lot of second fiddle players getting pushed out. I'm sure you know all the Panthers guys coming back, but on top of that, Sorensen's out with the suspension. Paul Alamotti, Dane Laurie, Matt Eisenhuth, and Trent Talau all make way for the other guys coming in. And for the Bulldogs, Galvin reverts to the bench while Kurt Morin goes to 18th man. Blake Taff, Jake Turpin, and Blake Wilson drop out for all the returning Origin guns. Nothing too surprising there, but we move on to the next game. Manly Tigers. Manly have put Turbo at centre and Garrick on the wing outside him. I love this for Garrick. If you have Turbo, he's a definite sell. He was scoring like 40, 50 at centre. It's just not what you want. And the fact that he's been put there means that he's not good. And the re-injury risk is just through the roof with him at the moment. It's not something I'd want to take a bet on. Lehigh Hopewadi at fullback. A lot of people are going to be frothing on this. I've said it a couple of times this year, but I started with Lehigh as a pod when he was playing fullback. I think he might have started on the wing and then moved to fullback shortly after. But I had him for a big stint at fullback. And he's good, but his ceiling just wasn't really there. He'd get a lot of 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, a few lower ones if Manly weren't doing well, which they're not. He still gets through heaps of work, so it looks good, but he really didn't get many attacking stats from fullback. I think wing is actually a better spot for him because he still gets through a shit ton of work and has that higher upside for scoring tries and stuff. If you do want to go him, I can't argue against it. Let's have a quick look at his price. So he's 663k, break even of 120, and that just makes me like it even less. I definitely won't be going there. I can see why you would. Typically, a centre moving to fullback is always good for Supercoach. I just don't have the best feeling about this one. So Jason Saab, I think, has been dropped. I don't actually know if it's an injury, but I did hear that himself and Lachlan Croker were both playing New South Wales Cup, and now neither of them are named in the team. So it looks like the axe is starting to be swung. It looks like Seabold is starting to feel the pressure. And it looks like Mick Ennis is going to be our next coach. It's a fucking shit show at the moment. Ola Kawatu's shoulder dislocation sees Corey Waddell start and not Bullimore for some fucking reason. Oh god, it's pain. And obviously Croker's out, so Jazz Tavanga starts again at 9. That's good for anyone still holding on to him. But Simpkin is on the bench, so he'll move into that lock role. Still a decent option, but I imagine by now he's probably towards peaking in price. For the Tigers, I have no idea. Heath Mason takes over at fullback from Jareem Buller, who faces 4 weeks out with a hamstring injury. Not super coach relevant. I can't imagine too many people have Jareem Buller. I love watching Heath Mason play, so that's kind of a positive there, I suppose. Latu Fainu is the new halfback, and Luai gets pushed to 6. That's pretty interesting. Let's have a look at him. Latu Fainu, 289k, negative 11 break even. Alright. 5'8 is a pretty boring position this year. We've got our Munsters. Campbell's gone now. There's just not a plethora of great options, so I think this guy will be quite a popular trade-in. The only issue I see with that is getting Karapani in, who also has a negative 85 break-even or something, so he's clearly the better cheapie option. But I'm finding myself questioning whether I actually need the money. I'm not too far off in salary to field a full team of guns and 4 gun reserves. You don't really need too much more money than that. Having a backup gun is always good and stuff, but this is the point of the year where a lot of people get caught chasing cash that they're not really going to utilize. So while these cheapies are good options, just assess your team, think about what you want to do and who you want to bring in, and see if you actually do still need to be generating cash to do that. We're still not at the run home yet, so there's still a place for cash gen, but you don't want to just throw in players with low break evens just to make the money. It needs to suit your team. And for my team, I'm thinking that Latu might actually be a better option here because I can downgrade Wishart to him, get myself about 30k, and I'm pretty sure that'll be enough to get me in Jacob Kiraz for Billy Smith. So that saves me having to sell Gagai for Kiraz, which is really good. And it feels like a bit less of a burnt trade going from a Billy Smith to a Karapani. I might have misspoke there and that might not make sense, but you know what I'm talking about. So Latu Fainu, definitely an interesting option. I'll be playing around with him in my team. And I think that's all for the Tigers. Let's move on to Knights Raiders. Oh, for fuck's sake, the Raiders. Hudson Young's been rested. God damn it. I bought him in last week. It looked like he was getting a 35. He magically updated to a 55, so that's not the end of the world. But now I'm being fucked again. And now Noah Martin's on the interchange, so I think I've got a fucking Nuff playing. Oh my god, I do. Wait, no, M. Martin. Miles Martin. We're all good. We're all good. So anyone else in my boat who's got Hudson, just hold him. You brought him in for a reason. Let's just pretend he got a 55-point head knock last week. That seems somehow easier to swallow. As for other changes for the Raiders, Simi Sasungi comes in for Young, and Noah Martin, new face on the bench. That's not a whole lot going on there. For the Knights, Hastings comes in for Fletcher Sharp, who has ruptured his spleen and lacerated his kidney. I didn't realise it was both of those things, so I don't know how long he's going to be out for. I actually managed to sell him the week before that happened, so I got lucky there. Jacob Saifidi will play his first game since round 11, having overcome a calf injury, pushing Matt Croker to the bench. Marzu and Hetherington are still injured. Let's have a look at, I've just forgotten him immediately, Jacob Saifidi. There was a good amount of people bringing Saifidi in before this injury, but he's 400k, 31 break-even's okay. Coming back from the injury isn't great. He's not the option that he was, but it's worth a check. Next game, Broncos, Warriors. The Broncos look pretty much unchanged. Yep, unchanged. For the Warriors, Ed Cossey replaces Watene Zalesniak with an ankle injury, and Rocco Berry is back from a hamstring injury, along with Capewell. So Halasima goes to the bench, and whoever that is goes to 18th man. Just out of curiosity, how many people are still holding on to Halasima? 6% still, that's probably a little bit high considering his job security. Anyway, not relevant. Dragons, Eels. This should be a decent game. Gutho versus Lomax. So for the Dragons, Corey Allen and Tui Pilotu both returning from hamstring injuries, while centre Val Holmes is also back on deck after missing the Sharks game. Jaden Sewer named to return, while Viliami Fafita on the bench. Pacific Tonga making way. So yet again, we're looking at fucking Tui Pilotu. I really hope this guy can get a decent run without injury. He's 600k, 114 break even. Not this week. See how he goes. He'd be a lot easier to justify buying if his price started with a 5, not a 6. So we will come back to that. For the Eels, Dylan Brown's back, pushing Joash Papali'i to the bench. Sam Runny covers Penasini, serving a 3-match ban. And Papali'i fills the spot vacated by Riley Smith, who was also suspended for 2 games. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen this game. We thought they'd get pumped last week without both their halves, but they did really well. Maybe they just get pumped when Dylan Brown doesn't have Mitch Moses by his side. I don't know. I can't pick the Eels at the moment. So not a whole lot going on there. Let's move on to the Finns and Rabbitohs. Okay, this interests me. The loss of the winger Jack Bostock to an ACL brings Junior Tupou into the side for his first game since round 2. Dolphins are hot. And Junior Tupou is 381k, so he's not really a cheapie. He's got a break even of 70. He changes price this week. I'd like it a lot more if he was 200 and something k. Taking over Bostock's position, there's definitely tries to be had there. Dolphins are in form. They're amazing at the moment. Bit of a hiccup last week, but their form can't be argued with. They are one of the in-form sides at the moment. I can't recommend Junior Tupou at that price, unfortunately, so we'll move on from that. For the Rabbitohs, Campbell Graham and Cody Walker return to the Bunnies backline. That's massive for the Bunnies. If their big names are able to stay fit, this is where they start to go on a run. So I'm liking the sound of Latrell Mitchell. Probably a bit late to go AJ after his 4 tries. He's probably rocketed up in price. I'm probably not going to go Latrell myself because, again, I've just brought in Drinkwater and he did really well in a shocking Cowboys performance last week, so I'm confident in holding him. And Pappenhausen and Tedesco aren't going fucking anywhere, so I'll keep an eye on him. If he starts to explode, maybe I'll just have to do it. But if you are looking to get rid of a fullback, I really like Latrell this week. Yes, they're coming up against the informed Dolphins side, but Latrell's matchup proof. He just does shit out of nowhere all the time. Absolutely no arguments with anyone who wants to bring him in. Marmazelis is also back. Jaden Sullivan listed in the reserves, which pushes out Ryan Gray, Liam LeBlanc, and Isaiah Tass. Storm Sharks, we get to see Fa'alongo do his thing. Keen. Xavier Coates returns after being rested last week, so Grant Anderson shifts into the centres in place of Jack Howarth. Stefano and Liero will return to the side after coming onto the bench, blah, 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 blah. For the Sharks, Oregon Kafusi, Hamwin ULA, Puru, not Supercoach relevant really at all this game. Let's do a quick Xavier Coates check and see what he's coming in at. 730k with an 113 break even. If the masses weren't flocking to Kiraz this week, I'd be all over this. But Coates is rocks or diamonds, but when he's on, he's fucking on. He's definitely no Kiraz. Kiraz is the priority, and he's very expensive, so let's put a pin in that for now. Titans Cowboys. AJ Brimson isn't a guy I've considered for Supercoach pretty much at all, but just watching him play, he looks electric. Let's have a quick look at him. 566k. What have his scores been like? 50, 80, 60, 50, 100, 30. Not really the consistency I'd like, but I also don't remember if he was playing fullback for these games, so I can't really say much about him with a whole lot of confidence. Tom Weaver takes over Jaden Campbell. Tino's back in the starting side. Cleese Haas to the bench alongside those blokes. For the Cowboys, Jake Clifford earns a recall at 5'8", with Jackson Purdue shifting to centre and Braden Burns making way. Robson and Cotter back on deck, but Taumalolo remains sidelined. Lawton's out, Kai O'Donnell's out, and Thomas Duffy's out. So a fair bit of Supercoach relevant stuff going on this week. The trades I'm looking at so far this week are Kiraz to Gagai and Karapani for Fitzgibbon. I'm really not the biggest fan of this Karapani to Fitzgibbon trade. It just seems a bit luxury, and I really don't think I need to be generating that much more cash down here. I've got Farmworth, Kiraz, Garrick, Nwakanita Wasi, and then I'll probably bring in a Zach Lomax or a Xavier Coates as the reserving option down there. I think Karapani has a much better chance at getting decent scores than Latu at the Tigers, but for my team, I think Latu is a better player to have in over Wishart than Karapani is to have over Alan Fitzgibbon, who also is going to generate a little bit of money, so I'm going to have a think about that. For captaincy and vice-captaincy, I was really keen on VCing Farnworth, but with the news of Campbell Graham and Cody Walker coming back for the Rabbitohs, I think they'll be a little bit tougher to beat. And with Garrick shifting to the wing for Manly against the Tigers, I think that is a much better VC option, and I've just locked that in. Manly are so due for one of the great bounce backs of all time. If we lose to the Knights, the Titans, and then the fucking Tigers, oh dude, I'm going to put my hand through a wall. If for some unknown reason you don't have Garrick, I think the Raiders could really put a score on the Knights here. So a Jamal Fogarty, I don't mind as a VC. That's definitely a lot riskier because we haven't really seen too much ceiling from him. But I think this is the game it could happen. I'm not going to recommend VCing him because it probably won't happen, but there's a world. Broncos over New Zealand. This will be a battle of the forward packs. So I also don't mind Payne Haas as a VC option. And as for captains, obviously you've got your Pappenhausens, Munsters, maybe a Jerome Hughes. A little bit scary after last week, but you could do it. Or you could go the Cowboys, who are also due for a bounce back against the Titans, who suck. I think with the Cowboys' form at the moment, people will be a little bit scared to go for the captain on Drinkwater, and that's so fair. I'm not super comfortable with it. It would be very nice if Garrett gets a nice big score so that I can just pull that loop and not have to worry about it. It's just that the Titans are a way better team to come up against than the Sharks, even though the bookies seem to think Melbourne have a better chance against them. So my captaincy may move to Pappenhausen. We'll see how I'm feeling throughout the week. Alright, let's go see who top scored the league. We've got Try Marbles, Don, with a 1510. That is gigantic this week. That's the only 1500 I've seen. Granted, I haven't looked very hard. But you can see here he's gone up 4,600 spots. That's a huge week for you, bro. So Don, if you're watching this, leave a comment down below with any bet you want for the week of footy, and you will get half of the budget I put up to yourself, and the other half will get split between all the other comments. So Don and everyone else watching this, get commenting. It's getting pretty competitive, especially between Makapsu and SLM. I saw them sounding off at each other in the comments on the last video, so it's good to see it's getting competitive. We'll pull up the group league for a sec. So the budget's $10 this week. 5 of that will go to Don if he leaves a comment. If not, that'll be split between all the comments. And as you can see, it's getting pretty close between SLM and Makapsu here. Don't be discouraged by them being up in the 50s. I'm pretty sure SLM did that in like 2 bets. So it's easy to catch up if you're consistent. And whoever is at the top of the contributions at the end of the year gets paid out however much they've contributed. And the winner of the league obviously gets the prize pool, which is growing every week. We're just past halfway in the season, so if the prize pool follows that kind of trajectory, we're looking at about a $700 prize pool, which is a lot more than I thought I would have got to on my first year of doing this channel. So that's another point, actually. It's the first year of this whole competition happening, so this year it is the easiest to win. I reckon there'll be a lot more players next year, so get involved while it's easy. That's it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate everyone showing support to the channel. It's very motivating to see comments and likes and everything just like a few minutes after the video's uploaded. It's cool that people give a shit about this. Good luck in round 17. I'll see you for the wrap-up. Uru.